Well, hello everybody. I know the microphone didn't work in my Friday video. I screwed up. A lot of times I literally just record and upload, and that's just kind of how I roll. But let's get into it, guys, because I have some big updates in regard to my reading and writing, and things went really well this last week and a half. And so I want to start with the book haul really quick before I get into what I finished reading. So I picked up the broken binding editions of Sun Eater. We have Demon in White here. Like that, I have the reverse covers, dust jackets on. The edges here. This book in particular was hard to get the spine even in terms of putting on the reverse dust jacket. The naked hardcovers on this, with one hand, I'm just not going to show you right now. I do have another video on the channel. You guys can go check out where I dive specifically more into the artwork, but it's very brief. Again, I'm just like so stoked that this is my first, well, not my first broken binding reception. I think the We Are the Dead, A Fool's Hope, and Until the Last Were, but this is a series that I've read, that I'm in love with, I'm passionate about, and I just love it. So this is Demon in White, the reverse dust jacket. I'll put that up here for now. We have Howling Dark, the reverse dusk jacket. Jesus. Here we are. And then I'll put it in reverse order. I know you guys are going to be mad. Empire of Silence here. Oh my gosh, look at the Allison on the back. I mean, come on. And I just love the column on the side, the pillar. And I'm showing it in reverse order now, but it kind of goes and disintegrates, and it's really a cool concept. I was following them on Twitter or X about this whole thing, and it was so awesome to follow along. You know, my background looks a little different. The thumbnail for this video is not I'm going to use the same thumbnail that I had for Friday's video, just simply because of ease right now. It's Monday, so I've weeded out some time to record right now, and I'm going to immediately upload this before I get into my editing. So really quick, before I talk about my writing, I want to get into my reading, because I know there are a lot of you who are here just for the reading. And so I finished Royal Assassin, book 2 of the Farseer trilogy on my Kindle. I finished that last week, right before I recorded, of course. And then, well, here we are. So I'm going to talk about it again briefly. Books 1 and 2 of this trilogy so far, I have absolutely loved. The ending of this one and the ending of the first one, I don't know what hit harder. I think emotionally I was more impacted at the end of the first one, but I think what happens with Fitz's character at the end of book 2 is it's a pinnacle moment. Let's just put it that way. It's a pretty sick ending to the series, the second book. It gave me vibes to one of my favorite series that I'm not going to mention, that also shares a framing narrative. I imagine if you've read both of these, maybe you have the same idea in your mind of the comparison I'm drawing here, in terms of somebody telling a story from the future and writing in the past, and just kind of like the points of tension in those types of stories and how they're navigated, and how they can be very unique. I think Royal Assassin did it as well as you can. I think I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I know I was on the edge of my seat the whole time because I felt it. And I tore through this book. I know it probably doesn't seem like it with this update going up as late as it is. But yes. And so there's another update. I was initially going to run through the Assassin's Quest, but I decided with my discussion going on with John, which will be in December, I'm going to give myself the rest of November. So let this be a little updated November TBR. You guys, if you're watching this video early, there will not be chapters on it tonight. I have work to do with my book, and I'm just not going to get to putting chapters on it. But tomorrow I'll have some time in the morning. I'll put some chapters in. So if you're watching this, then you'll be able to navigate the video a little more properly. If you want to get to my Berserk stuff, I'm going to talk really quickly about the rest of November TBR. So I initially was going to read Assassin's Quest right after this. I even kind of torn the prologue a little bit, but then John and I had a discussion over a talking story, and we decided to have a conversation in December. And initially, I think the goal was to have a talk with him about the trilogy alone, but we decided that we're going to, it's something that we can talk about when I go on, but it's not going to be the focus of the discussion. And so I'm going to read it before I go on there, but I decided that I'm going to have a big book December. And for the rest of November, after having torn through the books that I have and wanting to get back to the Malazan world, I'm going to put aside the Farseer trilogy until next month, the start of next month, and I'm going to get into Dregs of Empire. Jake over from Nerd Level Rising just read it. I want to catch up, make sure I'm there. Him and I will probably be going through Disquiet Gods in January or February together. And so I want to make sure I'm back on board with Sun Eater. Also, I miss the Sun Eater universe. And I got these broken binding editions. Like, I'm just so excited to get back to that universe. So I'm going to read Dregs. I already started. I'm several chapters in, and I'm loving it so far. I do the immersive stuff right now. I'm listening and reading at the same time. It helps me when I don't have time to actually physically pick up the book. I can listen to it on my own. But also when I do have time to pick up the book, I listen and read, and it's actually really cool. I love the narrator that Christopher Ruocchio has. I think he does an excellent job, and I didn't know what to expect because I'd never listened to the audiobooks for the series before. And I was like, okay, this is a short novella. Let me get into it and see what it has to offer. And I love it so far. So if you guys are interested in audiobook, I highly recommend Christopher Ruocchio's narrator if you want a good narrative performance. So I am going to read Dregs of Empire. I'm then going to read Knight of Knives by Ian C. Esselmont to get myself back into the publication order for Malazan, which will follow up with Bone Hunters next month. So I'll go into my next month real quick after I finish the rest of my November TBR. And then I'm going to read We Are the Dead by Mike Shackle. That'll probably finish up the month. I think if I have time left over, I'm either going to dive into Ernest Hemingway, finish Blood Meridian, or stand by, because there is a book that I really wanted to read that kind of is outside of fantasy. I might get into Horns just because maybe I just need a fantasy break after that. And then because December is going to be a really big fantasy month. So that's my rest of November TBR. We're going Dregs of Empire, Knight of Knives, We Are the Dead, and then potentially either a Hemingway, Cormac McCarthy, or what did I just say? I forgot, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So that'll be the rest of November. And then in December, we're going to start with Assassin's Quest before my discussion with John. Then I'm going to read Bone Hunters, which I'm really, really freaking excited for. I might start just tearing through Malazan simply because I just miss it and I want to finish the series, and I'm really excited about it. I've been pacing myself pretty well, and I think I'm going to tell myself that I want to tear through it, and then what happens is ultimately I read it, and there's a natural just like, okay, take a step back and breathe and consume what you just consumed. Like actually process everything that you just read, register it. And so I'm going to kind of get into that habit, I think, because after Bone Hunters, I will be going into Words of Radiance, which is another massive book. But I think the accessibility of that book and the depth, not to say that it doesn't have depth, let me make sure that I'm clear on that. But the depth that Malazan goes into, it'll be maybe potentially a nice break. Although I know that Words of Radiance is going to be a dense read. I think just the accessibility of the prose style is going to be a little bit kind of like a break for my brain, which will be nice. Not to say that it's not complex enough or anything like that. I just want to be clear. Malazan isn't intimidating by any means. It's just a different type of style. And once you're in the style, you're in it. When you're out of it, you're out of it. So it's just one of those things for me, at least I find when I read it, that's the way it is. So that's my November TBR and my December TBR. Now I'm going to talk about Berserk briefly. We just got done with the Eclipse. We are on the Lost Children arc. I finished Jill's chapter, I believe, most recently. And we're seeing kind of let me get into spoilers really quick. Since we finished Eclipse, by the way, myself, Tom Orange, Chris at Bearded Book Beast, Alex at Iskandaria, and Jake at Nerd Level Rising are having a discussion this Friday live at 6 p.m. Eastern. You guys can go and check it out. We're going to talk all spoilers after the Golden Arc and just really get into just the shit that I read. Let me just say it clear, and I'm sorry for the language. I played D&D last week. If you guys missed that, go check it out on Jake Nerd Level Rising channel. It was very fun, and I swear like a sailor because I was one. And that's just kind of the way it is. And I try not to when I'm on here for you guys, but the words I need to describe Berserk are absolutely insane. And I think I tried to be pretty articulate when I was describing it a couple videos ago, or my last update, without cursing. And I think I did a pretty good job. But I mean, right now in this brief description, it was some shit. And Lost Children, the arc is interesting so far. I guess we're kind of seeing how jaded Guts is going to become, or has become, knowing that doing good for people kind of leads him, to end up sad anyways. And then you factor in his situation at night when he can't sleep because he has to fight off demons. And I mean, you can talk about all of the, the parallels to regular life that we all live. But I'm going to leave that for Friday in the live discussion. Lost Children so far, I'm enjoying it. It's kind of a nice little reprieve, oddly enough. I mean, it's guts and it's Berserk, so as much of a reprieve as you can have. I guess it's more of a daylight situation in this. So I'm about halfway through this 5th deluxe edition. I'm kind of going to slow down here after this discussion. I'm going to probably stick to 1 volume a week simply because these are expensive. I mean, I use my points to get these puppies, but still, I mean, they get pretty expensive. So that's my guts. Now I'm going to talk about my writing really quick, guys. Again, this is going to be a short video. You're still going to see me Friday. Still going to give you guys all the updates. Book 2. Oh, thank you. Sorry, by the way. Thank you so much for coming, guys. I really appreciate it if you're here for just the books. Please leave your comments. Tell me what you're reading right now. Tell me what you're getting into in December, in the rest of the month of November, what your holiday plans. Let's just talk story, talk books in the comments down below. Leave a like. I'm sure that helps. And then subscribe if you want to hang out for more reading talk and writing talk and everything. So I'm going to get into my writing real quick, guys. Again, thank you so much for those of you who are here just for the reading updates. So I finished book 2's first draft, and I am very satisfied with where it ended. Book 2 is the first draft, finished at around 187,000 words. I'm going to talk about my estimates of where the word count will finish before going to an editor. I think we'll have a net increase of about 30 to 40,000 words. We'll probably take some away. We'll add a bunch in once I go through it the second time. I will not be doing that this month. This month, my intention is to go back into the notes that I got from my 7 alpha readers. I'm going to go in through the manuscript, check out all the highlights, read through all the notes. I'm going to get into that right after I record this. And I'm going to read through the constructive notes that they left me they made a whole Word document, most of them did, for notes and feedback, that things that stood out to them, things that need to improve, things that were good, and so on. And I'm going to go through all of them. I've already gone through them briefly before for book 1, and so I'm going to go through them again and just make sure I have all the consistencies in my head before I go back and dive into the manuscript myself with some of the notes pulled up. And I'm actually really looking forward to doing this after refinishing book 2, simply because knowing where the story goes and the arc goes, for those of you who have been following, you know, but if you don't, books 1 and 2 are encompassing of a single arc in terms of the story and where it leads. And I am so stoked as to what we discover at the end of book 2 and where that puts books 3 and 4, which will be encompassing of its own arc. So it will be a total of a duology, but it will factor in 2 duologies because these are large books. I decided to write these books as I wrote the first 2 books as a single book encompassing a single arc, and books 3 and 4 will be written the same way, which will make a duology. The hopes is in the future to be able to publish them together, but I think as far as page count and word count is concerned, and getting readers invested, I want you guys to be able to consume the story and make a decision through the first book if the story is for you or if it isn't. I don't want to throw 400,000 some odd words at you and just assume that you're gonna be into it. I want to make sure that you guys are feeling a narrative structure that works for you. And mostly it's how I like to consume a book. And it's a story that I also enjoy reading. So when I'm writing. And so as I finished up book 2, going back into book 1, having and knowing where I wanted the story to go and discovering what the characters discover in their lives, I am very, very excited to get back into the manuscript of book 1, which will be heading to my editor next month. So I want to give it one more clean run through, which will be my 6th or 7th time going through the first book. We have an official cover that I will be sharing with you guys either next month or in January. I haven't decided yet, because my goal with writing next month, next to my revising, will be I'm going to write a whole novella in December, I believe. And I just haven't had it planned in my head. It's something I've been wanting. I have a character I've been wanting to delve into, his story and kind of how it ties into the big world. And it's a character that I want you guys to see because he's so cool. And I have a short story or 1 or 2 short stories that I'm going to work through that will be out in January. I'm going to work through those in December. I'm going to work through a novella in December as my editor has book 1. And then going into January, February, assuming, whenever my editor gets me my notes back, if I have time, I'm going to run through book 2 again, just cleanly, just kind of give it a good clean sweep, make sure that I add stuff that needs to be there. And if not, if I get the notes back from my editor faster than that, I'm just going to focus on book 1 for a little bit, and then probably pick back up book 2 in either February or March, depending, because the goal is to have a draft to go to the editor in July when when book 1 releases. I want book 2 in the editor's hands. That way I can have a 6-month release time frame for the second book, so you guys can get the whole arc within that time frame. And again, getting another cover done in June and July, and making sure that things are good to go in that field. So you guys kind of have a whole layout of what my writing and publishing plans are. I'm in discussions with another artist to get some materials to put out, just simply because I want to see some cool friggin' artwork of my world. And I plan on recording the prologue entirely myself in March-ish, and I want to put it to a video, but that's not. There's no promises there. I might just have the recording. I'll put it up on the for free on Substack when that is up in January. So you guys will stay up to date on that. I'll make sure to keep you up to date on it. Thank you guys so much. Please subscribe if you guys want to keep. I'm going to put these up every week, the updates for my writing and my reading, so you guys have them. Right now, we're leaning a little bit more towards writing. It's just simply because of the nature of the work and kind of how the process is working out. But don't get me wrong, I'm still a vehement reader. Vehement, that's probably not the right word. Ignore that. Oh, this one's for Esme. I listened to the first chapter of Nightfall, and it is like addictive. I haven't gotten much deeper into it simply because of time, but it's actually like pretty digestible chapter, so I can easily fit it in. It's just a matter of me making the time for it, and I intend to. And I actually found the right one, the Nightfall Chronicles, not Nightmareland, and it is way cooler already. It seems like way more of a character study versus like a psychology study. But yeah, I'm very excited to get into that too. So I will update you guys next week. Thank you guys, Friday. I'll see you guys Friday at my live discussion. My video will be up 6 hours before that for the weekly update, what's going on over these next 5 days. Thank you again so much for coming to hang out. I will see you Friday.